welcome back to my channel. Please forgive my hair. Totally forgot this morning that I had every intention of filming my Fab5 weekly faves tonight, and this I didn't cut my hair off. I don't even think you can see, but it's in basically a little bun because this is what happens when you have to be in work super early and you are not a morning person. Find the quickest way possible to deal with your hair after getting out of a shower. We are back for my Fab5 weekly faves. This week, this is what I'm going to do. I actually was like on the fence how I was going to handle this, but I kind of feel really bad. So I have 5 faves this week. I do. But I also have a fail. The only difference is I don't actually have the fail. So I made the mistake of kind of returning it today and not putting 2 and 2 together that I wanted to film tonight and wouldn't have it to show. So if you watched my last video, which was my Summer Bronze Glow tutorial, that's also a full review of the Roxanne Rizzo products, you see at one point when I'm applying the anti-shine powder, I think it was, I used a hot pink bristled brush. I want to say called Ubu. I'm going to just get the fail out of the way, then we'll move on to a more positive area with the Fab Faves for the week. But I think it's called Ubu. It's new at Ulta, brand new. They just released the line of brushes. I heard a lot of buzz that they're comparable to Real Techniques, which they are, price-wise, absolutely. Yes, sir. Say, you haven't seen me since we were on webcam, and I look much more handsome on a real good camera, huh? I just got home from work, and I try and get this out of the way, but when I come home from work, somebody wants to cuddle hardcore and wants to follow me everywhere, right? And I don't want to touch you because I'm wearing lip gloss. Anywho, so we'll see how long he wants to stay up here. See, he wants to sometimes snoop around on my vanity, and that's not cool. But if you watch the video, I think I even comment in the video when I'm putting on the anti-shine powder that the... You're so weird. That the brushes, it was like one of the worst brushes I'd ever used, and price-wise it is comparable to Real Techniques. So, cat hair. I think I bought the powder brush, the one that you can see in that tutorial, and I will link the tutorial below, and I'll also see at what time I use the brush so that I could just kind of put a timestamp, since I have a website I can link you to as far as if you want to purchase the product. I know, I always say, oh, it didn't work for me, it's my opinion, and I'm not trying to influence you one way or another, but in this situation, I really don't recommend purchasing it. I want to say the powder brush was $9.99, and then I also bought the eyeshadows trio. It had, like, I think a slanted brush, it had a fluffy brush, and, like, a contour brush. They come like in plastic bags, and you rip the tab off like you do for your shredded cheese, and then they have a Ziploc closure so you can continue to use the bag. I would not want to, because whatever freshness this bag is containing smells, it's the most disgusting smelling brushes I've ever encountered in my entire life. Washing the brushes did not remove the stench from them. It is built in, it comes free with purchase. And then they were so coarse and dry, and you want a nice soft smooth brush that's going to deposit product evenly, and especially for me, being a freelance makeup artist and being licensed, I really have high expectations of my products, and yeah, these did not fit the bill. Not for $9.99 for the powder brush, not for $12.99 for the trio. I don't care that they were buy one get one half off. They are not for me. I will link that timestamp and the video below so you can see what the powder brush looked like if you want to, and I will link probably Ulta, I think, is the only one that sells it right now. I'll link Ulta as well. I'll link their page where they sell it. If you want to buy it, don't say I didn't warn you. I do have 5 faves this week, and my first one is one that you've seen me use in a tutorial, and I might have actually mentioned it before. I really hope I didn't have it in a Fab5 weekly faves prior. I'm not going to say too much about it because so much is already said on YouTube, but that is my Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade. I have it in dark brown. I originally had it in chocolate, and I found it just came out a little bit too red for me. I kind of go back and forth with this, and you'll find out why with the next fave, but I'm just not 100% confident in my dip brow capability or ability. Sometimes I feel like I put it on a little bit too thick, it'll look a little bit too dark. I really am trying to get a little bit more finesse in that faded out look toward the center because I don't want squared off brows. And you can see, I mean, I've been messing around with it this week, and I think one brow might be slightly darker than the other, but slowly but surely we're getting there. So this is phenomenal. I use it with her brush, which I don't know where it is right now, but the number 12 brush, I want to say. It was difficult to get. It was sold out everywhere. I had to look high and low for it at the time I bought it, but it's so worth it. It's a nice, really thin cat hair. It's a nice, really thin brush, and I think that in all honesty, because I've tried a lot of brushes, that it just works the best with her product and does deposit the least amount of it, and then the spoolie is just the best that there is aside from her Brow Wiz pencil. It really helps to thin out and spread the product out. So I absolutely love this. Now, the reason why I'm back into using it. When I was in junior high, I did what most kids at 13, 14 do, and I completely over-tweezed my eyebrows because I thought super thin eyebrows were the way to go. It was the bee's knees to me. The problem is that I was not one of those fortunate ones who, after that 6 to 9 month period where I was doing that, where my eyebrows grew back in, because they didn't fully. I definitely always, have had eyebrows here. I never really fully explored the ability of how far I could take them here as far as growing them down. They used to be much higher, if you understand what I mean, like thinner from the front. Or they would come down low in the front, and then I took off that nice little notch behind it. But I always have an issue with right in the front. Like, as far as that squared off portion, the reason I don't want it is because I don't have hair here in the front, and I have issues with it growing, and I decided I wanted to rock a fuller brow if it was possible. And I came upon this, and I actually have a backup already, so whichever one's easier for you guys to see. I had a coupon, so I said, why not? It's $10 at CVS and Walgreens, I want to say, but I got it for $7.99 in Target. It's the Rimmel London Lash Accelerator Serum with AVEC Grow Lash Complex. It's for lashes and brows. I already have this one that I'm almost, well, a little past halfway through. It might be easier for you guys to see it on here, but if you look, I mean, it's just a larger size than the one that's actually in the package, so it might be easier for you to see. It's a clear formula, but the brush has almost like little ridges on it. I don't know if you could see the little ridges, but it's almost like rings around it, like where mascara, teeth, or bristles would go, but there aren't any, because you could take that part and you can comb that part through your lashes, so that you can help your lashes grow, which I was in a phase where I had like the little short pieces that were coming out. This really helped them to grow out a lot faster. I think you can see the rings because they're a little bit darker at the base on the picture. Then it has this really thin brush on the tip, which is great for me, I also used it to run along the very base of my lashes, but right to target for me that front area of the eyebrow. And to be honest, I think that it definitely made a difference. I got a lot more growth from my brows. I got it above, I got it in the front. I just decided for me to be able to use the Dip Brow Pomade, I did need them just a little bit more uniform, and that they were a little caterpillar-y on top. So I did take some of it away as far as the top's concerned so that I can go back to the Dip Brow. But, I mean, you're not going to get overnight results. I've been using this probably for at least a month. But there's definite results, and I'm somebody that is a good example because I really was lacking in the front of my brows, and not that they're growing in dark, it can't control the color, tone, or thickness of the hair, but there's definitely hair there where there wasn't before, and I just need hair for product to hold on to, so I'm still loving this. I use it every night before I go to bed. I do my whole face spiel, and then the very last thing I do is this, and then I go to sleep. Okay, so we're almost at the end. 3 more faves. So the very first one is unfortunately something I really haven't seen in stores, even though it's supposed to be there. The product itself, I mean, you will see in stores. It's the NYX Powder Blush. It's the little square ones. It's just that this one happens to be in the shade Taupe. And every time I would think that I would see it when I was thinking about buying it, it turned out to be Terracotta. Now that I own it, I know it's not even close. It's really like a grayish, almost like plummy undertone bronzer, or rather, sorry, it's not a bronzer, it is a blush. But this is considered by many to be a perfect contour shade. Now, I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, and I'll actually whip that out just for comparison. So these are the shades in the Beverly Hills Contour Palette, Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Palette. You can see them along the top. Some are for warm, some are for cool, some are more neutral, but none are as grayish undertoned as this one. Now, I know she just released 21 new shades. She might very well have one that is quite similar to this. I don't know. I know that I do like the quality of these, but for, I want to say $3.99, $4.99 that these cost. I did have to order it online, but you can order it from NYX. Like I've said before, your first order through NYXcosmetics.com is 25% off once you sign up in the initial phase. So 25% off of $3 or $4, not bad, or rather $4 or $5. The pigmentation is fantastic. Using it with my contour brush, I'm able to just take the tiniest little bit and just pop it right there and blend it up. But this is just fantabulous. I absolutely love it. Stays on all day. Price-wise, if you're playing around with contour, you don't really necessarily understand the whole shadows and dark thing yet, and this is all kind of new to you, and you want to see how it looks on you, or, you know, what kind of products you like if you're a cream or powder person, highly, highly, highly recommend this. It's fantastic, and at that price point, I mean, it's not going to be too much sweat off your back to purchase something like this for experimentation purposes. And I don't know if you can see it right there on my finger. I just wanted to give you a little swatch before I put it down for good. It's very much skin toned. It's just like literally just a slight gray, plummy, you know, it's like a grayish. I think grayish would be the perfect word for it. I think Chanel has a palette called the Grayish palette, and if you take the word grayish that they might be naming something, I think it perfectly describes Taupe by NYX, and I highly recommend it. The next item on my faves, I'm famous for this. I've had for a while and I just didn't use it. You all are aware of, you've seen my previous videos, like way back, I think on webcam and possibly right after I got this camera. I have an aversion to glitter. I call it an aversion. If you want to call it a completely irrational fear, that would probably be more suitable as well. But I purchased this based on the advice, or not advice, recommendation of Sam Sherman, who's also on YouTube, and I'll put a link to her channel down below as well. She said that she'd been using Urban Decay Space Cowboy, which says it's an eyeshadow, but I swear it's called something else when you're in the store. It's like Moon Dust or Moon Shadow, something like that. These are basically akin to Max Pressed Pigments, and you can see there's like an iridescent shimmer there. Now, these this is the only one I have, but I took her advice the way she was using it. She said she essentially just took her finger, rubbed it in there, and patted it across her eye regardless of the color, and on my finger it gives like a nice sheen, like a really glittery foily sheen, like, you know, a full coat. But when I put them on my eye, you get like that shimmer and sparkle effect, like glitter. But it is, I hope you can see it, it's very, 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 very easy to remove at night. I put a little bit of eye makeup remover on one of my cotton pads, one swipe, and it is all gone. It gives the look and feel of glitter, and it doesn't really alter the color you're putting it over, so you can really have a lot of fun no matter whether you're doing a black underneath, a purple, or a chocolate, or I've actually been putting it on a beige with just something warm in the crease, because I find that it's just, in all fairness, a way to jazz it up. So I absolutely am loving this, and I don't know offhand what other colors they have. I know they have different shades, but I don't know the names or anything. I think this is a great starting point if this is the kind of product you want to start to mess around with. I think they're $19 or $20, but I'll have the link down below. And the last product that is a fave this week, I am really embarrassed to say I almost didn't give it a chance because it had such mixed reviews on YouTube, and I just bought the Amrezi palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, which I still have some colors to play around with before I give my opinion on that. But I just was like, I don't need another palette and a drugstore one at that. No, thank you. So I'm talking about the Maybelline New York The Nudes. Sorry, I was trying to read it from left to right. This palette looking at it, I'm like, I think I basically own a color similar to every color in this palette. What the heck could I possibly do with this for? Some people are saying it's chalky. Some people are saying the pigmentation isn't the greatest. I've been to a few stores and was checking it out because I was so on the fence and going back and forth that I was really taken aback. A lot of them were broken, so I was like, oh, well, for all that many on the shelf to be broken, it can't be that good. And some of the pans were not filled evenly, like the color didn't come all the way to the top. The bottom line is, it's a drugstore product. I do have high expectations of products that I use personally, but at the same rate, I do understand and kind of had to rationalize, it's a drugstore product. Now, $11.99 CVS Walgreens is one thing. Sorry if my camera moves, that would be chancy. But this was $9.99 at Target. But once I lowered my standards, or rather expectations, not standards, I lowered my expectations a little bit. I said, what's the harm for $10? Let me try it, let me see. I am super duper impressed. I actually have it on my face today, and I'll do a close-up after, and this is after hours and hours and hours of work. I left the house approximately 12 hours ago, and now we're back. So I will show you some of the colors that have been my favorite. There is a good mix of matte and frost, and there's actually one iridescent that I really, really love. So that's been one of my favorites as well. Today I tried out a couple of new colors that I haven't tried thus far, and I'm just absolutely loving it. To be honest, yes, some of the colors are chalky. I'll be fair to the people that gave it, you know, not so nice reviews. Some people said it got that like hard pan. Not really. I find especially the matte colors absolutely gorgeous, very soft, very blendable. So I don't know if you can see, we'll definitely zoom it in, but these are some of the colors on these 4 fingers. And then I got one right there on my thumb. And I'll swatch them on my other hand too. So this one is the iridescent that I'm loving. Now yes, it is a white-based or cream-based iridescent. But it has such an iridescence to it, like a pinky beige green almost, that I'm absolutely loving it with a real detailed brush right under the brow. This is, which one is this? This is the matte that I've been using in my crease as a transitional shade. I love it. This is the reason that I bought the palette. This shade, I looked through my palettes. I honestly don't own anything like it, and I will show you on the back of my hand. You'll see it better in a minute. But it's almost like a dirty, rusty, antiqued gold, you know, with a touch of bronze. It's just really unique. This is, I would say, a satin. It looks like it's going to be a frost kind of when you're looking at it in the compact, and it's not. It's more of a matte. But it works really well as a transitional with those two. So I like to use this one and then blend it out with that. And then this is like a frosted chocolate, which I've used in the outer corner and comes out gorgeous. So these are on my hand and wrist. They go from that nice iridescent cream that's almost like if you took Anastasia Beverly Hills Lavish Palette Ballet Slippers and gave it a little bit of a frost. That is the one that I like for a transition. That's the one that I'm rocking on my lid today. That is the reason I bought the palette. It's like taking a gold and mixing it with a copper. That's the one that I use to transition out my transitional shade, and then right there on the crook of my wrist is the one that is like the frosted chocolate. So like I've been saying, I'm really, really impressed with the Nudes palette, and that one color that is the reason that I bought the entire palette is on my lid today. And then I used a couple of the matte colors, like an espresso and a chocolate tone, and I just kind of blended it out into the crease, and then used that other matte, that kind of ashy brown, and used it as a transition to my upper crease, all the way into a matte cream, and then put a little bit of that iridescent right underneath the very arch of my brow. And I, for $10, I am super, super impressed with these. Please don't mind the creasing concealer underneath my eyes. Thanks. So that's it from me and my Fab 5 weekly faves. This entire video has been an absolute tongue twister, and I apologize. But I hope that this video isn't too long. I know I had a lot of ground to cover with all the products, especially because I did throw one in there that I was passionate about not buying. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Chancey wanted to come back to say goodbye, so if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and subscribe in the box below. If you liked what you saw with this video, go ahead, he still wants to get up on the vanity, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Otherwise, I will be coming at you soon, hopefully with an empties video, or we're going to have a problem. And I will definitely see you for my Fab5 weekly faves. Otherwise, everyone have a wonderful weekend. Anything you want to say? He's just ready for num-nums. Yeah, that's what we call his food. Num-nums? At about that time. Alright, we're going to go get our grub on. Bye, everyone.